We'll literally show you the career that you've been itching, dying, wanting to see.
Time to experience the nooks and crannies of Korea as if on your own 2 feet. On
K-Patch
with Keewon.
It is a Monday and we kick things off with a bang on hashtag Daily K by going really video radio friendly with Keewon in hour number 2. Good morning, Keewon. How are you doing over there? You seem a bit distant. I can see you.
Good morning. Hello. Yes, we're a little bit distant today.
Yes, we're in separate studios to keep things as safe as possible. I didn't mention it, but I did check on the hour mark how many cases we got today, and it's back over 1,000. Unfortunately. Yeah, we thought maybe it was petering out a little bit because we had, 650 and 820.
Right. It was definitely a lot lower compared to the last couple days.
Boo-hoo to today's numbers then. Keewon, feel free to take off your mask over there if you like, because you're in that studio by yourself. But if for makeup and fashion reasons you want to keep it on, that's totally okay as well.
Okay,
How was last week? Sorry to have deserted you.
No, last week was great. I had a great time with Paul.
Are you saying it was better than with Peter?
No, I'm just saying that I had a great time.
Good stuff.
But I definitely missed you while you were gone.
Yeah, I missed hearing in person about the New Year's kind of festivities.
Yeah, you definitely missed out.
Yeah, I should make a point of being here every day, seeing as I do host the show, so I will not make excuses in the future. Did you have a good New Year's? Did you do anything?
I think my New Year's was pretty quiet this year. I just hung out with my family, had a small gathering with my family. Not too big, because obviously
we've got the rule of 5 still. Yes, you're not allowed to have 5 or more. Although I am curious, and I'm pretty sure it's an exception. If you've got 5 people in your household, in your family, surely they wouldn't make you move out.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think so.
That's okay. Were you awake at midnight? Because I think I was asleep.
Were you?
I'm pretty certain. Yeah.
No, I was awake. I tried in the around 11, 10ish. I think I was getting tired, but I was like, you know what? Might as well hold up 2 more hours and try to stay up.
Yes, good stuff. If you make it that late, I think I was asleep by about 11, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
We've got the hashtag today, drive or unjon. And I have a photo here from Ing that unfortunately you can't see.
Okay.
And it's her trying out some driving with a friend. Looks like you are in a bit of road rage there.
Road rage?
I'll describe
I can see it now.
Keewon, yeah. It's a picture from outside where it looks like this is staged. Surely you've done this for a pose.
It does look like it's staged.
I hope you're not driving like that with your friend all the time. Ing does say, I do drive because it's a necessity. I don't enjoy it though because it is stressful, especially with road rage and bad drivers. Yeah, it's always the other drivers. How about you, Keewon? Are you the driver that gets road rage and is honking at the others?
I don't go as far as honking at others.
But I hear a but coming.
But I do once in a while when someone cuts in all of a sudden, then I'm like, oh no. And then inside I'm trying to keep it in together. I'm like, it's fine, let it go.
Are those your actual words? Oh no.
I kept it PG.
Good. I as well. I'm quite a calm person usually.
Okay.
But when it comes to getting stuck in traffic, that's when I lose my temper.
Really?
I can't deal with it. I'm wasting my life sitting in this traffic.
What about when people cut you in?
Cutting in, not so bad. Because I will admit, sometimes I've learnt these bad habits in Korea.
Right.
I feel that drivers here, road etiquette is a little more out for yourself kind of thing, right?
I agree.
So I've learnt those tricks of the trade. So I will cut in. So if I get too mad when someone cuts in front of me, I'm a bit of a hypocrite, so I'll let it slide as well. And I do often, though, say the odd "oh no" when I'm stuck in traffic. Yes, by myself. Okay, keep on sending in your messages. Anyone on V Live as well. I see Samantha was saying, "Love my automatic car. Much easier to drive around the street than a stick." In the States, is it the same as the UK, where even if you drive an automatic, everyone takes their test in a manual, in a stick, or do people take their test in automatic quite commonly too?
I think it's quite common in America to take your test in an automatic car. So I don't really know a lot of people who drive a manual car in America.
Yeah, I haven't seen the cars, but I was wondering about the test. But in the UK and Europe, manual cars are still pretty common.
Really?
Like I drove a manual car for the first 5 years of driving.
Oh,
Because if you're a guy, especially, there's some kind of would say romang in Korean, but there's that image
like that
of you
fantasy of you wanting to like, yeah.
It is quite fun, but it is also really difficult. Yeah, Keewon, you can definitely, our producer just reminding us, double reminding us, if you don't mind, you can take off your mask just for the audio purposes as well. It's hard with your earmuff headphones on though.
Taking it off now.
Oh, that's much clearer actually. You must have been wearing a really good mask in terms of protection.
I mean, with the whole situation that's going on, I was like, I gotta get a double mask.
Oh, nice. Today's theme then, where are you going to be taking us?
So today we are going to 마장동 축산시장.
Okay.
And this is a meat market here in Korea, and it's very famous. So we're going to go right inside.
Nice. When you were told to go here, and I saw it on the script, like previewing it, I often mention what we're doing on K-Patch like a few days beforehand.
Right.
I wasn't even sure what kind of market it was. Chuksan, I had to look up, and then it comes up with meat market.
Yes.
And we're talking about like a literal meat market. Do you have that term in the States for like a club that is full of scantily clad women and men like trying to hook up? We call it a meat market in the UK.
Oh, really?
Like it's almost like you're going to buy a slab of meat.
Oh, I don't think we call it that.
Oh, really?
Or maybe I'm just not too familiar with that. So
don't get me wrong, I don't go there all the time or anything like that. But yeah, just sprung to mind for me. We're going to an actual like Korean beef meat market
where there's a lot of butchers, different butcher shops. So we're definitely not going into the one that you were referring to.
No, not at all. And that was definitely pre-marriage. So what are we going to see in your first video?
So in the first video, we're just going to go inside the meat market and just check out the different vendors that are there.
Okay, let's take a look. So here's the entrance. Oh, did you go at night time?
Yes. So I went there during maybe 5-ish.
Okay, getting dark early in
It's getting
Korea.
dark early here.
It's very brightly lit, isn't it?
Yes. So you can't miss it at all. So this is the cow statue that's right in front of the market right here, right before you go in.
And then it's like a fairly wide road which cars can drive down in there.
Yes, cars can definitely drive in there and pick up the meat that they ordered previously.
I see.
And you can definitely go inside and just be encountered by so many different vendors. There are actually about 3,000 vendors inside the market.
And they're all selling meat?
They're all selling meat.
Yeah, in Korea, it's quite common that you'll have a concentration of the same types of vendors or the same types of restaurants. And I'm often confused how they all survive.
Yes, there are just a variety of them. Some stores sell lamb, pork. So it's not just cow meat.
What's in this kind of fish tank thing?
Oh, yeah. So this is how they age their meat. So there's water aging. There's also dry aging. So you can actually definitely find an array of how they prepare their meat here.
That's unbelievable.
Yes.
You don't often see too much aging here in Korea.
You don't. Yeah. So when I saw this, I was like, wow, they actually do it right here for you and prepare it for you.
Oh, and then he's explaining what cuts they are.
Yes. And also there's a bunch, what they're known for is hanwoo, which is the most, Korea's premium meat, which is super expensive.
It is pricey.
But if you go into this market, you get it for a relatively decent price.
Oh, really? That's good. Yeah, hanwoo being the Korean beef, right? Our cows. Is it all beef? Is there other meats there as well?
Yeah,
I would have assumed at least pork, maybe.
Yes, pork is there, lamb's there, all in different cuts. So you can find it. You can find all kinds of meat there if you look carefully.
We had, because my mum lives next to this really kind of boutique-y small butcher that does some really amazing meat. So for Christmas dinner, we had the godungshim, like a massive slab of it, though.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it cost my mum literally an arm and a leg, perhaps, right? She spent so much. Yeah. So how much are we talking about when we're saying it's reasonable here?
So typically, if you go into a butcher shop outside of this market or a grocery store or a department store, wherever you find your meat, it costs roughly about 40,000 won per 100 grams.
That sounds ridiculous to some people, like in Argentina and maybe the US as well, where beef is super cheap, right? But that's what you can pay, right?
But if you go buy it in the meat market, it's about 12,500 to 14,500 won per 100 grams.
That's amazing.
Yes, there's a huge difference right there. So
wow,
you can definitely go over there and get a really high quality meat from this market.
Because if you go to a barbecue place, you know, where they grill it in front of you, if you order maybe about 300-400 grams, that should be more than enough for one person.
Oh, yes.
And that would only set you back, what, maybe 50 to 70,000 won? That's not bad at all, is it?
So you're saving a lot of money and you're also eating a lot and also getting really high quality meat.
Yeah, because the thing about Korean beef that I think sets it apart is it's so, you saw in that last clip of yours where the guy was explaining, it's so marbled. Like there's so much fat in there, which is the good stuff for me. I like that.
It melts in your mouth too. Once you put it in your mouth, it melts. And basically, I guess there's they have a quality grade. So it's like the 1++ and the 1+. So the 1++ is actually the most like juiciest, tender, fatty meat that you can find in Korea.
There's a restaurant chain, I can't remember the exact name, and I shouldn't say it anyway because of brands, but it's something bul, meaning plus, right? And you're talking about the plus for the highest grade. And I know I had my British friends come over and try it.
Okay.
But because in Britain, we're used to less marbled steaks and meats, like a fillet steak or a rump steak. And so they said it was nice, but they preferred the less fatty. So there's everyone's taste, I suppose.
It's everyone's preference and how they like their meat, too.
Yeah, but I'm definitely all about the godungshim, which is like the sirloin, the really marbled sirloin.
Same here.
The best and the most expensive.
It is the most expensive, so that's why it's good.
We have expensive taste, Keewon. How do you get there, by the way? Where are we talking this is? I'd never heard of it.
So this is in Majangdong. So it's pretty, well, how to get there, you can take the subway and get off Majang Station, exit 2. And you'll definitely see just signs leading into the market. And you can also get off Wangsimni Station from exit 8, and it's about a 15-minute walk. So I would actually recommend getting off Majang Station.
Okay, we're talking about the northeastern quadrant of Seoul here. So it's quite out the way from where we are, but easily accessible via the subway, like you said.
Yes.
Okay, let's get on to a song, and we'll be back with more on the meat market in Majangdong. This is Momoland with Thumbs Up. We're back for part 2, K-Patch with Keewon in the studio next door. You can watch us on video radio. We got a pane of glass between us, but it's okay. We can hear each other clearly.
Yes, and see each other clearly.
Our listeners as well, apparently, because Raul says, a bit of TMI for today, but I do love the smile of Keewon.
Oh, thank you.
Lovely. I think this is the first time we've seen you unmasked on the show as well, Keewon.
Actually, maybe from the first time, but this is my first time actually like unmasked talking.
Yeah, on the air, isn't it?
Air.
Goodness, we should have had an unmasking, like an unboxing video on YouTube or something. Don't forget, guys, if you love Keewon, you can go and subscribe to her channel and check out her vlogs.
Yes.
Are you still doing that regularly?
I am, and Fantastic. I actually just posted our content that I went to today. So this is perfect timing, so you guys can check the behind the scenes there.
What's the channel name again, Keewon?
OK Vlogs.
OK Vlogs. Okay, and they are more than okay. They're fantastic.
Thank you.
We've got lots of messages coming in, so why don't we read a few of these?
Yes.
Tropic Girl says, there's no better indulgence than enjoying a nice steak with a side like mushrooms and roast potatoes. Oh, I
I
like
love
that, yeah.
that.
Like a Western style. Because here in Korea, when we're eating kogi at the barbecue, it's usually that's the main thing. Maybe you'll have the sam, the lettuce leaves, but there's no like roast potatoes.
Yeah, you do get mushrooms. Maybe if you can, I don't know here, but I know in America, you can also ask for sweet potatoes.
Oh, that
The
sounds
sweet
nice,
potatoes
doesn't
are
it?
really nice.
Yeah, sometimes in a barbecue in Korea, either a potato or a sweet potato, they'll put it in foil and put it inside the coal.
Yes.
If you're like somewhere rusticky or outside, that's nice.
That's like the best way to have it too.
Unless you leave them, we did it recently. We left them in there for we forgot about them. And then when we took them out, they were so burnt that it was just the very inside, like maybe a couple of grams you could eat, and the rest was disgusting. It was charcoal, basically.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to like time it perfectly to get the sweet
Set an alarm, right?
Yes.
You got a few messages in front of you, Keewon?
Yes, I got one from Sherry Russells that looks like a bull statue at Wall Street in New York.
Oh, they do have that bull statue in a few places, I think,
do.
right?
Yeah, but this one's a little different. This one's more like a cow, I would say.
For eating.
For eating, yes.
We're not afraid in Korea of showing cows at meat restaurants, right?
Yeah, we're not. I mean, I've seen so many pictures of cows like in so many different barbecue restaurants.
It's a bit odd for a foreigner for the first time, I think. They're like, I'm going to eat that. I don't want to... And it's kind of usually a cute-looking cow or something.
It's like looking down right at you as well.
Yeah, when you're eating it. And the same with pigs and pork restaurants.
Right.
And also another thing in Korea that's cultural, we show lots of photos of the raw meat at these restaurants, right? Imagine at a steak restaurant, they don't often show you the uncooked meat. It'll be a picture of a cooked steak, right? But we in Korea, we're not like queasy or a sissy about those kind of things, I suppose. Yeah. Rising Lotus says as well, we should definitely do the unbelievable Lady Keewon unmasking, almost like a freak show title, and 100,000 subscribers straight away. Perhaps for the future.
Perhaps in the future. Yes, for sure.
You got another message?
I got another message from Siska. Wow, the market is neat and clean. Here, meat markets are they have wet floors, and the meat is also really expensive.
Oh, in Indonesia as well. Yeah, because there's that thing in Asia called the wet markets, right?
Right.
I think that you showed us might be classed a wet market, but it looks very clean. Like
it is.
The path where you are walking is just like a tarmacked road kind of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty clean. I mean, I did definitely see a lot of wet floors, a lot of extra meat on the side that you wouldn't want to see, and it would be a little bit gross to show on the video. But yes, it's definitely relatively clean from, typical meat markets.
Sure, yeah, there is going to be that side of things if you go, so be aware if you're a bit queasy with all that. Siska also said she's never been to Mahjong Station. I must say, neither have I. It's on the purple line.
Yes, it was like my first time going into Mahjong Station, so I was like, oh, wow, okay,
I'm trying to look at any other stations on that line that I know. The Dongdaemun History and Culture Park, that's on the same line.
Yes, it is.
It runs all north of the river, it looks to me anyway. Any more messages, Keewon, you want to read?
Yes, I got one from Tropic Girl. Wow, meat buffets. I would usually say let me at it, but I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight and get my waistline fit.
Today it's the meat market, so no diets.
Yes,
okay?
No diet.
Let's not mention that. Let's just eat as much as we want. Many of you commenting about those meat substitutes as well for people who maybe don't eat meat, and saying they're getting better and better, especially the burger patties.
Yes.
Have you ever tried non-meat like alternatives?
Yes, I have. I know there's one. I had one that was made out of chickpeas. So they have different variations of how they make their meat.
Was it good?
It was relatively good. Definitely not the same as a regular meat, but I would say it would pass. Yes.
Okay.
It's not too bad.
I've not tried it. And I think, a burger patty might be the best way, because then it's like masked with the bun and the salad and sauce. You could get away with it.
The cheese as well, if you like cheeseburgers.
But I don't know about a steak, because that's like just the meat, right?
It's different. It definitely wouldn't taste the same.
Yeah, Cherie also says we have in the States lots of butcher shops that have raw cuts of meat and are very clean and have all the meat parts as well.
Okay.
Well, in Korea we eat all the offal, as we call it in Britain, like the intestines and stuff like that. We're not queasy with that either. We're really good.
We do not shy away from that.
Were there those parts in this market as well?
There were, but I think a lot of what I saw was Hanu.
Okay.
So they did have like lamb and stuff, but I think what they're known for is the Korean premium beef there.
Yeah, the stuff that you'd have on the barbecue, and the kind of steaky cuts, if we could call them that.
But I'm pretty sure if you like ask the butcher, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to find you a slab.
Yeah, I know over at the one in Karak Market, they have the offal in the basement, like it's separate from the other meats.
In the basement.
Kind of feels a bit like I shouldn't be eating this or something.
Say.
But it's very popular here in Korea, isn't it? The what do we call it? The gopchang and things like that. The intestines. Yeah, and one cultural thing before we get onto your second video. In Korea, my mum told me that butchers used to be like looked down on. They were like this class of people seen as undesirable, so to speak. Yeah, I think these days, of course, we've changed that belief. Butchers are respected workers, but I don't know if that was the way in other countries. I know in the UK, not so much, I don't think.
Yeah, and I think in the US, not so much, but I do think like people did kind of like look down a little bit more here than overseas.
Yeah, I guess because you're dealing with like chopping up animals and stuff like
and different
blood.
Parts and stuff. So I guess it's not the most greatest job people would see.
Glamorous one, is it? Getting on to your second vid then, what are we going to see in this?
Yes, in the second video, I am going to pick out my meat and head into the restaurant.
Oh, so you can do that at this market. Fantastic.
This market.
All right, let's take a look. So you buy it from one of those butchers we saw.
Yes.
And then you take it to a separate place?
Yes. So they'll help me choose which one. And also they're all actually had me like video just a cut of a slab. And then we go and head right in.
Wow. Is that them cutting your bit for you?
Yes.
Oh, nice. You get the old business card in Korea, which is often given at the seafood markets as well, to encourage you to kind of come back.
Yeah, they definitely gave me a business card telling me, oh, you should definitely come back. Because I was also filming that day too, so they were kind of encouraging it as well.
And then they're taking you to the place?
Yes, so they're taking me to the place, and you can see that I actually got additional complimentary meat.
You got some freebies?
Yes, so that's the thing. That's a great thing here. They give you extra meat so you can cook it, and you can also have it in your soup.
Yeah, it's a bit odd to take raw meat into a restaurant if you're talking about a Western restaurant, but in Korea it's totally normal.
It is normal. It's called service.
Service. So you have to pay to use the restaurant separately?
Yes. So to pay to use a restaurant, it's about 6,000 won for adults and 4,000 for younger kids.
Do you get the side dishes for that, or are those separate?
So the side dishes come, the grill comes with it.
Oh, nice.
And just, I guess, all extra side dishes.
All for that cost? That's not bad at all.
It's
That's like
not bad.
$5.
Yes, but you do pay extra for like the jjigae, which is the soup, or other dishes.
Okay.
But this is just the table service fee. And then there's me grilling it.
Oh, this looks brilliant.
Yes. This is how I typically have my meat, which is just putting it on the the lettuce. And
makes you feel a bit healthier.
Yes, a lot healthier.
And in Korea, it's usual to eat the beef and stuff first, finish that, and then have the rice and soup or the noodles. It's an odd order of things for me as a Brit. Like, you'd have it all together.
Yes.
And so a lot of my friends, they say, let's have the rice. You know, my British friends are like, let's have the rice at the same time, like your meat and potatoes. But I guess you get to appreciate the meat a bit more if you're just eating that by itself. Yeah.
And I actually kind of like it. In the beginning, I was also kind of like, oh, I wish I had the rice with me. But then I feel like without the rice, you can have a lot more meat.
This is true. Maybe that's the tactic. Maybe that's why this happened, right? Because restaurants wanted to sell more meat to you.
Exactly.
It looked really delicious. Is that one where you cook it yourself as well?
Yes. So I cook it myself there. And I actually, there's like just the set that I got had just a bunch of different cuts. So it's called the modum.
Oh, which means like all of them.
All of them. So, and it was for a really great cost.
Yeah.
And the taste, it just honestly just melted in my mouth.
All right, let's talk more about this after a song break while I eat my script. We got some GOT7. This is 딱 좋아, just right. Back for part 3 of K-Patch with Keewon in the studio.
Yes.
And we're talking all about meat. Are you a big meater on a regular basis then, Keewon?
not on a regular basis, but I do just love meat in general.
Because I remember one of the first vlogs I saw from you when we were kind of considering who to have next on K-Patch. I was just being nosy. It was all these healthy, what was it? Some kind of bowl with acai berry bowl.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. I thought maybe you're like a vegan or a vegetarian, but you like to eat healthy as well.
I do like to eat healthy as well. I definitely like to have like a more of a balanced meal. But yeah, that episode was just me looking for Californian food, and that's like something that I guess Californians really like.
Oh, is that like a famous dish to have, maybe?
Kind of. I guess I grew up a lot having it in the morning, so.
Oh, for breakfast.
For breakfast.
Wow, that is a proper healthy breakfast compared to a British one with sausage and bacon and whatnot. Yeah, tell us all about your meat eating habits, guys and girls. If you're a vegetarian or a vegan, that's fine as well. You can send in photos still or videos of meat eating or meat markets too. Lots of messages to read. Zana says, I learned to love meat thanks to Korea.
Oh.
I think the style of eating it, like with the grill in front of you, that's so unique, right?
It is very unique, and I don't think you can find it anywhere else. Maybe in Japan, but it's a little bit on a smaller scale.
I've seen the restaurants here. I've never seen it in Japan, but they have this tiny little like personal grill, right? With like coals in it or something. It looks really cute.
And you can grill just like the right amount for yourself.
Yeah, like 1 or 2 pieces, right?
1 or 2 pieces.
Whereas in Korea, some of the restaurants have a really big grill in front of you, like it's 4 people sitting around and you do it all. It looks lovely. I hope that's how Korea taught you, Sana.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
And then another one from Sherry Russells. Is it normal to bring your own meat to the restaurant in Korea? I did not know that.
If you're asking, like, do you have to pack your own meat to any meat restaurant? That's not the case, right?
No, that's not the case. So what you saw on the video was actually I went to a butcher shop and I was picking out the meat, and you can actually ask them if you can grill it at a restaurant nearby, and they would actually lead you into a nearby restaurant, and you would just have to pay the service fee for it.
But in a regular restaurant that you'll find on the high street or something, you cannot take your own meat there.
No, you cannot take your own meat, unfortunately not.
Yeah, you have to buy their meat.
Yes, exactly.
Having said that, there are certain restaurants in Korea, meat restaurants, where they have a butcher like attached to the side, and so you go and choose which cut, and then it's just a regular restaurant next to you.
Right.
So you just get a bit more, I guess, say over which exact meat you're having.
Yes, yeah. And you can also ask them for their own like take on which one is the greatest like cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has some different thing to say. I think it depends on how much meat of that cut they've got left and have to sell. They're like, this is the best one. I'm like, you didn't say that last time. Raul says in Argentina, our markets and butchers, some are clean, but some not. We've got a range. And I think that's the same everywhere, right? You will have some that are less hygienic than others as well, right?
And yes, another one from Siska. I've been to the basement section at Karak Market, the meat intestine inside the stomach, and we actually went there for lunch before.
Yeah, we went with the listeners. We had a chef on the show at that time to Karak Market. We had the seafood on the first floor, but yeah, I remember them saying they were going to go to the basement, and I'm not such a fan of those cuts, I must say, so I didn't join them. But I'm sure it was fantastic. Lots of things to see and do. Rising Lotus says, I used to love eating vegan burgers at a little Korean shop in downtown LA.
In LA?
Really? I wonder if that place is still around. I remember I tried stalking the Korean owner. Wait, I misread that. Or it was a typo. I tried talking Korean to the owner.
I was like stalking. I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, maybe we'd have to ban Rising Lotus from the chat, but it's okay. Talking Korean is absolutely fine. And Rising Lotus says, if I go to Korea as well, will I see people randomly starting bonfires in the middle of the streets to cook their meat? We don't often have outdoor
No, we don't
barbecues.
have outdoor barbecues, but we definitely all have indoors. You won't see random ones.
No.
But, yeah, not random ones.
You can do what is it? Like when you go camping a lot of the time or glamping, there might be a barbecue and pensions as well.
Right.
They often have in front of that guest house a barbecue that you can grill
do
on.
outside,
Yeah, because we can't do it in our apartments, I suppose.
Because it's a lot smaller and probably not safe too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Getting on to our listener content, we've got Ying Yin from Malaysia who sent something in, right?
Oh, yes. She sent, we don't have meat stalls anymore since mom became vegetarian.
Okay.
But here are some photos of meat stalls when I visited the London Borough Market.
Oh, wow. This is in London. It's much more quaint and kind of artisan meat stores, it seems.
Oh, wow.
And some fish markets and then bigger cuts of meat. Yeah, that market in Mahjong, what surprises me is the scale. You said like thousands of butchers, right?
Thousands, 3,000 actually vendors there that they sell different kinds of meat, but they don't have seafood.
Wow. Okay, no seafood.
Wow. So this is actually rabbit meat sold at a supermarket in Rome.
That was the last photo we saw there. Goodness gracious, that is a little towards my limit of what I can stomach. A photo of a rabbit. Please turn away now if you don't want to see that. But rabbit meat, in the UK, some people eat it. In Korea, I've not seen it sold.
No, I don't think I've seen rabbit meat sold in supermarkets.
I did see it at a restaurant, not the actual rabbit, but it was on the menu in the countryside.
Oh, in the countryside.
Yeah,
okay.
it was. I think it was toki tang or something. It was like a soup where you could have the rabbit as well. I didn't try it, but each to their own. Some people love it in Britain, actually. Like some people who like to hunt and things like that.
Yeah, I'm curious if it's tender or if it's tough. Yeah.
Like I have that kind of rule of thumb. I'll try something once.
Same.
To see if it's nice or not.
Same.
I think I tried venison and it wasn't as nice as I thought it would be. Lamb, I'm a big fan of because that's big in the UK.
I've also had duck too. I love duck.
Duck, like in Korea, often it's like smoked duck here, right?
They have smoked duck.
It's flavored. But I like the plainer version we have in the UK. Like you just grill it and maybe have some sauce on the side. That tastes quite nice as well. And the Chinese style, like Beijing style with a crispy skin.
That's amazing.
That's lovely, isn't it? Let's see Sophie. She's also sent in a lot from Kota Kinabalu here, some photos. Here are some photos of the meat markets I usually go to. It's called Pasar Mengatal. It's about 30 minutes by car from where I am.
Oh, okay.
Sells fresh produce every day from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's all from the farms and the seafood from the sea. Prices range from size and types. So this is like a general market with all sorts of stuff.
I guess this is kind of similar to Mahjong, the Mahjong market in some sense.
Yeah, with the meat side of things. But were there other food vendors at all, like for vegetables and things like that, Keewon?
No, it was just purely meat.
Yeah. In Korea, we like to go a bit niche with things, right? The fish market, it's all fish.
All fish.
The meat market, it's all like red meat, it seems.
So there's not so much of a combination of like different kind of things in one market.
Yeah.
Maybe certain places, certain markets.
That Karak-sijang that we mentioned earlier in Songpa district, that has fruits and veg and meat and stuff. So it's kind of like a giant old school supermarket, you could say, where all the vendors are separate, but you can buy from anywhere.
Man, I gotta go to this Shijang. I'm hearing so much about it today.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Mahjong. You go to Karak.
Yes,
and
perfect.
we can come back with our reports, I suppose. In terms of that, there's one fun fact that I saw on the script that we didn't get to mention.
A fun fact is that actually Big Bang filmed their music video here. It's the Big Bang's music video is called Era 모르겠다.
Oh, I wonder why that is at a meat market. Like, Era 모르겠다 is kind of like just throwing your arms up in frustration at something.
And they're just like, whatever.
Let's have some meat.
Exactly. They were there at the meat market just to say, Era 모르겠다.
I want to check out that music video now. That's pretty cool. Big Bang have a couple which highlight certain places in Korea. The other one is 붉은 노을, that sunset glow, and that highlights the beach that had been victim to the oil spills way back when. So maybe they're kind of helping out the meat market. I don't know. You've certainly helped it out, Keewon, because I'm going to go. Our listeners are going to go as well, I think.
Yeah, you guys should definitely go. I mean, it wasn't as busy as I expected it to be, but they do run from 3 a.m. to 11 p.m.
3 a.m.?
Yes. So they definitely send these markets to fresh to the restaurants, or they package it out to the rest of Korea.
Okay.
So definitely it's a place to be.
Okie dokie. Keewon, we're going to see you again next Monday. What's the theme? Have we settled on it yet?
Not yet. So please stay tuned for next week.
That's why you have to stay tuned every single day to find out. I'm on the edge of my seat, literally, Keewon. Thank you so much as ever, and have a good week.
All right, you too.
Let's play a song request from Nur, who said, I'm listening through the app. I'm getting ready to go to my in-laws. I want to hear Mama Moo's I'm Your Fan.